Welcome to the 5-Year You podcast, a show dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself one day at a time. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kat, and we promise to keep it raw, real, and relatable.
Are you ready to grow?
Hey, Five Tribe. Today's episode is going to probably help you in the long run, but might give you a little pain in the short run. It's how to settle arguments fairly. And if you've been a human for more than a couple of days, you've probably had an argument or two in your life. And we're noticing that things have become very, very divisive around us in the world. And we're wanting to help you navigate through some of this. With me always is Kat. How are you doing today, Kat?
Doing good.
All right. So, look, when it comes to arguing, Kat, I mean, we all go through it. We've got kids, we've got, Uber drivers, we've got grocery people, we've got there are a lot of places that we can have arguments. And as we dive in, what would you say is like your number one tip? We're going to go through a whole list of great tips, but what's kind of the one that you always go like, this is what I like to do in an argument to help kind of settle it fairly because it usually gives us a good result?
I think that one thing I've worked on a lot is staying calm. I think that that's not always been my example or my experience in previous parts of my life. And I learned a lot from you on how to stay calm. And for that reason, I would almost say this applies to disagreements or conflicts of interest. I think when people hear the word argue, automatically think of people yelling. You can have a silent, smiling argument. That's more of a disagreement. Oh, snort laugh right away.
Snorting out of the gate, folks, is how it goes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, for the staying calm part. Actually, and the other part that I am still working on is listening. Staying calm and listen is really, really important. I have a hard time with that personally because, and this is really why I don't like the word argument. I don't view us as having arguments because I feel like that conveys the need to have a winner. And I think when people are conversing, a conversation where you try to get your point across is one thing, but an argument starts when you're like, I have to be right on this. And that's usually when you stop listening and are just waiting for the break in the conversation to say your point, to try to convey your point and win the argument.
Yeah.
So I think when we look at stuff like that, that's a really good first step, is to kind of, recognize that you may have walked into something and it's like, okay, take a deep breath. I'm going to stay calm. I'm going to listen to what the other person is saying because they're speaking volumes. And often what they're saying is not actually what's at stake. It's not actually what's going on.
Yeah, I think that listening is something all of us humans can improve upon. I think so many conflicts in the workplace and at home, just with friends, would go so much better with listening. I think we're all so ready for it to be like our turn to get to say how we feel and our point that listening often takes a back seat. And I think this is really important with kids too, because a lot of times their actions and words might not convey what's wrong. I think
Yeah.
a lot of times when people are upset, it really comes down to, I don't feel heard and I don't feel seen and I don't feel loved, but it comes out in so many different ways.
Those are definitely the big three, right? Feel seen, feel heard, and feel loved. Can I just say that you look really beautiful today too? I just wanted to say that you look really nice. You got your happy face pink hat on. Your hair looks nice, and I very rarely will compliment you on air because everybody's like, "Okay, there they go again." But yeah, you look.
You're doing the flirt
today
with me during
I
the
am.
argument
I am.
episode. Well played. Well played.
So
Thank
that's number 2, is to compliment the other person. No, I'm just kidding. The next thing you want to do is you want to clarify the issue, because I don't know if you've ever been around. I've known several people throughout my life, and a few of them are really more about fighting than they are about listening to you, and they just want to get at it. And I think when you have a conversation with somebody and they are, in that combative mode, clarifying the issue can really help, kind of call out what is this about really? Like, are you actually angry that the waiter brought you a free steak, or are you, feeling like you're not heard or loved by the waiter right now because you clearly ordered fish and it's not what you're getting. Nobody can relate to that example, by the way. Just
No,
everybody's listening, going like,
it's
"What
the
the
most
heck is he talking?"
random thing,
It is,
but
but I
this is
think
our show, so
this is the
this is
show.
what's
This is how it goes.
expected.
So I think just clarifying what the issue is inside of the argument really does help.
I think that's a good point, though, because I'll say a lot of the hurt that people experience in their lives, and you and I can attest to this as well, is when we make assumptions about what's wrong. And again, we'll say this to the kids too, because we've got preteens and teenagers and one newly minted adult. And so many miscommunications happen in today's world, right? Like, there's so much social media conversations, there's so much texting conversation, there's so many things that lack context. And I'm really big on being direct to the point where it makes people uncomfortable a lot of the time. But all the time I'll tell the kids, like, have you spoken to that friend about it? Have you asked them about it? Have you said, hey, I noticed this? There's so many ways to say, hey, why'd you leave me out? And why'd you go sit with those other people at lunch? Or why'd you go out to the bar and not invite me or whatever? There's so many ways to say, like, hey, I miss you. I noticed that we haven't connected as much lately. Is everything okay? Is everything
Oh,
okay? Is there anything I
yeah.
can help you with?
I
There's a
think
lot of
that's
ways to check in and get clarity. That's all.
no, and it's true. And it's so, I mean, I've had these conversations this week. I think you have too, actually, where it's like, have you spoken to the person about the issue? Have you clarified what is going on? Because they might not realize that there's anything going on. They might just be doing their thing and it just hasn't crossed their mind. So when you're having an argument with someone and they are going off on just a bunch of things, or they are kind of jumping around, there's something else going on underneath that. There's a felt need, and that is the next step, is to kind of express your feelings and needs. And that is really, really important, because I think most of these conversations are misunderstandings.
Yeah. Yeah, and people have a lot going on. Like, it's really hard when you're having a bad day. Like, when you're having a bad day that you are, like, not giving off good vibes, right? It's like the person that, not you specifically, but just people in general, right? It's like if someone cuts you off in traffic or flicks you off or something, like, clearly they've got a lot going on. Like, something is going on in their life. Usually, I tell the kids, hurt people hurt people. If someone's rude or just unpleasant, like, something else is going on with them. It can be hard to, like, come at things from a place of understanding. But one tip I will say that we do for each other and that we teach to our coaching clients is, when we're having a day like that, or when we wake up and we know we didn't get enough sleep, we will send a little red flag emoji to each other. And that it's a red flag day. That means stuff I say today, stuff that happens today, I might not be my normal amazing self. It means that these outside factors that have nothing to do with our relationship are impacting my mental health today. And if I'm snappy or hangry extra or something, it might not be you. But you have to have that communication to let the other person know that. Otherwise, they're just going to be sitting around like, what the heck did I do?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Red flag days have been a game changer for us, because it's just it's a good self-awareness tool. And we can say that to the other person too. It's like, you might be having a red flag day, and because sometimes you don't, when you first start exploring it with that, you don't really know when you're having it, because you might not have that awareness. But the people closest to you, they do, and they can see, like, okay, well, you were up till 3 and it's 6 a.m. and you're up right now, so clearly not enough sleep. So that's probably a good idea for a red flag day. I think when you're communicating inside of an argument, uh, being able to express what your feelings and your needs are is very, very important. Marshall Rosenberg's book, Nonviolent Communication, which we've both gone through, is really good at having the structure for going like, when when you said this, it made me feel this. What I need is something, and I'm asking if you're able to provide it. That is way better, because what typically goes on back and forth is like, you got this ping pong of angry going back and forth in a conversation. And one of us is going, please hear me. And the other one is going, please hear me. And we're kind of at that spot where it's like, neither one of us is being heard. So when you can break the noise and go, look, right now you are not listening to me, and I feel marginalized and frustrated. What I would like for you to do is to repeat back to me the things I'm saying so that I can feel heard. And in return, I will also do that to you. That's kind of an example of what you can do in those moments, which again shows the person that you're willing to sit down on the same side of the table as them and go, look, let's work this out, rather than, look, I'm trying to win this right now.
Yeah, on that note, I think another way to resolve arguments and disagreements peacefully is like when you're kind of getting into it. I know no one, sets a thing on the calendar and is like, okay, let's have our argument right now, 2 o'clock or whatever. Like arguments just kind of happen because people get triggered or disagreements happen at work. But if you have enough capacity and self awareness at the beginning of it to say, we're not meeting eye to eye right now. What is the result that you hope to see at the end of this? And it helps at work to say that, because at work, it might be, I would like to see my idea be presented to the higher ups,
Right.
or I would like to collaborate, or I just want my ideas to be considered and heard, even if you don't use them. Or I just want to be able to speak without being interrupted. Right. And in relationships, it might say, well, at the end of this, my intention is to still be together, still make dinner, still cuddle up and watch a movie. And that really helps people to know inside of a relationship, or especially if you're talking to your children, like, what do you hope to get out of this? I hope to grow closer from understanding each other in this conversation. I hope to make our bond stronger. And I hope to show you that I'm willing to listen, and I hope you're willing to listen to me, because that hasn't always been, like I said, my example or the way that I've handled things in previous relationships in my life. But for me, as someone who tends to get anxious, it really helps to know early on in the conversation, look, the result I want at the end of this is for us to be happier and to work this out and to get better or improve or whatever it is. And like, you're safe with me. Am I safe with you? And so staying calm. So far we have staying calm, actually clarifying what the issue is, and teaching your kids to do the same, right? Expressing your feelings, expressing your needs, and saying the result that you hope to have when the argument, discussion, heated debate is all tied up.
I like that. I think knowing what you want the outcome to be is really important. A lot of us, and I know this is true of myself, sometimes you it, the mindset of wanting to win can cloud everything else. And I'm not like it as much anymore, but growing up, it definitely was. It's like you had to be right. You had to be right to, you had to win, I think is really what it was. Then the way I look at it now is, you can be right or you can be happy. Which one would you prefer? And I tend to go with the happy one most of the time, because I just want the ending to be happiness. I want us to come out of a conversation about this, that, or the other thing going, okay, I see your point of view, may not agree with it, but whatever. And you do or don't see mine. That's not on me if you do or don't, but I can understand that and move forward. So that's kind of the way I see it, is like, you can be right or you can be happy. And when you know the solution that you want at the end of these conversations, these arguments, it can be hugely beneficial, because you can help steer everybody else in that conversation towards that outcome if they're willing to. I'm not talking about like steamrolling. I'm talking about like peaceful resolutions, not like, we're going to do my idea because it's the best and my ideas are always the best. That's really not what we're talking about here.
Yeah. I think acknowledging that, go ahead. I think acknowledging that all of us are going to think that we're right. And like to invite those of you listening to consider that it is possible for two perspectives to be right. Just like we can feel two emotions at the same time, because the way that you are feeling, all of those feelings are valid. The way that your coworker or your child or your spouse or your parent is feeling, that's true for them. Even if you don't understand why they're feeling that way, even if you feel like they don't have a right to feel that way, their feelings are true for them. And so the challenge is considering the different perspectives and asking yourself if it is possible for both of you to be right. And can you live with the discomfort of not having the clear medal wearing winner of the fight? And can you just feel like it's a win? Because for me, if I stay calm in an argument, or a discussion or it gets heated and I keep my cool, I expect the medal in the mail the next day. I'm like, that was amazing of me. Wow. Good for me.
Good for her.
So, can there be other things inside of it that you count as a win? Was it a win that you stayed calm? Was it a win that you didn't bring up past things? Was it a win that you didn't use any unkind words? Was it a win that you stayed quiet long enough and you didn't interrupt the other person? There are so many wins that you can point to in a disagreement that don't have to be like the clear package winner of the race.
Right. I like that. I think that's really fair. I think another thing that we can do in those moments is to see everyone else's perspective or see the other person's perspective. And you and I are really good at doing that. We've practiced it a lot where, if you're telling me, this is happening with one of the kids, and you're like, I don't get this, I don't, like this is happening and this sort of thing is going on. I will, instead of taking your side, because I've always got your back, I will give the child's perspective and kind of go like, have you considered that they might be feeling this, that, or the other way? Because often in that moment, we forget that the other person in this is having their own set of feelings, like you just said, and being able to say, like this other person is feeling frustrated and marginalized at work because nobody gives them the credit that they deserve. And that's why they're so adamant about their idea being the one brought forward in the meeting. When you can start to see everybody else's point of view and what they might be feeling in that moment, you're going to be able to navigate these things with so much more success because you understand things at a level that that nobody else is willing to do. And I think that's been one of the big successes for us is that we're able to kind of put ourselves in other people's shoes and go, oh, they're feeling like this because of X, Y, and Z. And this other person's feeling like this because of X, Y, and Z. So they're actually feeling the same thing. They're just communicating different feelings and whatnot. And as we can adjust to that, we can bring everybody together peacefully.
I like that. I also want to acknowledge that all the tips that we just gave take time to learn, guys. Do they? Man, did they take time. And I feel like I can just hear people listening like, well, I do that, but my husband would never do that. I could just like hear it now. Or wife or whatever. Or like, my wife always gets her way. There's no way she'd ever consider it. It can be done. There's a lot of learning that takes place and a lot of boundary setting and all of these different things. But if you are looking for more calm in your life, and you are looking for ways to dial down the volatility, I think a lot of these tips can help. The biggest thing for me personally, and I know it's the same for a lot of other people, is feeling like I'm not talking to air, is just feeling like I heard you, even if I don't get it, I am taking time to see where you're coming from. I actually just had this with one of the kids actually, because I made a huge grocery order and I sat down for an hour and I planned the whole meal, and each of the twins has their own little, snack box. So they don't eat each other's snacks, and it's like a whole thing. And I really do take time and pick out things that they like. And I try not to do like the same things every week. Like I do put a lot of care into it. And I picked up the twins and I said, okay, well, the house is stocked with groceries. Everything's ready to go for the week. And one of them said, like, "Ugh, I wanted to pick out my own snacks."
And
And
after you
of
came back
course,
down to Earth from shooting off into space on that one, how did you
well,
handle it?
yeah, I am really just, again, I'm just really forthright with things. And I was like, that actually, it hurt my feelings that you said that. And they were so confused, like, well, why? I just said I wish I could have picked up my own snacks. And I was like, well, because you might not realize this because you're not a mom, but it takes a long time and it took an hour and I put a lot of thought into it. And, one of the dinners we're having this week is your favorite and all these different things. And you have a nice variety of like chocolate and like sweet, it's like a whole thing. And they said, wow, I didn't know. If I would have known all of that, if I would have known how much time it took you, I wouldn't have said that. Like, people don't really mean it when they hurt your feelings. Like, stuff just comes out because it's impossible for us to know about everyone's experiences. But if you can calmly say, like I did in the car about the groceries, like, this is why that it hurt my feelings. I'm not going to be passive aggressive and, rude to my child or anything like that. It's just like, just so you know, those words hurt and this is why. And it gives the child the opportunity to say, oh, wow, turns out the world doesn't revolve around me and my snack choices. And it gives them a moment to see me as a human, right? Having a human experience. And it doesn't always go perfectly well, but by keeping all the feelings inside, you're robbing yourself of the opportunity to kind of connect and be vulnerable with the people you love the most.
I like that. I think when we are seeing it from other people's perspectives and when we communicate like that in your situation, it adds a lot of layers that clearly show that there's no thought behind the comment except that wanting your own snacks, wanting to pick your own snacks.
Which
And
valid,
which
so
is valid. Yeah, no, it's valid. It's valid. I mean, yeah, we all want to pick our own snacks. But I think at the same time, as a mom who has spent that hour, you feel marginalized, kind of like, I just put a whole bunch of effort into this. Like, this is like me literally expressing my love for you in the way that I
yeah.
can, in the way that I do. And you have just thrown it aside. And I mean, it kind of goes to like, nobody can hurt your feelings but you. But that's the parenting gig, is like just constantly getting, hurt over and over again. So if you're a parent, if you're a new parent listening to this, buckle up.
Good luck. Good luck. It's
It's part of the journey.
great.
It's great. It's fun. But it is a journey with this
It
stuff,
is a
especially
big
with kids.
learning it's a big learning lesson, and you have to, you're met with these challenges just like the one I described, which seems minor, but you get all of these opportunities for growth, and no one will help you grow and learn more about yourself than your children. But yeah, it's just like a really small example. It's not a really big thing, but just a very small moment where two people had two different opinions that were both valid, and we both saw each other's viewpoint, and we both expressed our feelings and our needs and had a very normal resolution with no yelling, right? Just kind of like a normal level of discussion. And may we all strive to have all sticky moments like that go that way. But it is a journey. So we're rooting for you. And I hope that these tips helped.
Yeah. The last thing I just wanted to cover before we get on to the next part is there are going to be times where you hit an impasse. They're not budging and you're not budging. And usually that's when things escalate. And depending on the person you're with, they will escalate very, very quickly. So a couple of things to do is to, first of all, take some deep breaths and stay calm. Go back through, try to see it through their perspective and everything. It is okay to take a break from the conversation, from the argument, from the dispute, the debate, whatever you want to call it, and take a step back, because when you are at an impasse, often it means like what you're willing to give up, they're not willing to, nobody's really willing to give or take. And it's okay to take that step back, reassess, give time for cooler heads to prevail, because not everything is solvable in that moment. And it's only sometimes with time can we look at things and go, yeah, I see where finally I see where they're coming from, or they finally see where you're coming from, and you're able to move forward in a more congruent manner with everybody involved.
I think that's true. And I would say people can always get an independent third party to help them with truly difficult things. I've had couple friends like not agree on wanting a third child. Like there are very, very big things that can be impasses. And in those situations, it might help to talk to a therapist, maybe another couple that you're good friends with who can mediate or discuss things out or whatever it is. But sometimes with the biggest issues, you can also get a third party opinion as well.
Absolutely. It's important to do that, especially in those kinds of cases. And it doesn't have to be something so big. It can be smaller things too. Sometimes just that outsider perspective is needed to look at it and go, have you considered this other idea, or they're just able to help you come together in a more amicable way,
Have you thought of getting a dog instead?
or adopting, or a goldfish. They're super flushable.
My God.
Well, it's time to move on to our glimmers, folks. We're going to say the things
After
that
that
shine.
dark note, jeez. What's your glimmer, Andrew?
That's my goldfish. No, my glimmer is that I actually took my son to his first kind of MMA practice. He's been
Mixed
really
martial
into it.
arts.
Yeah, mixed martial arts, and I wasn't sure what to expect. It's really weird to watch your kid grapple with another one and not want to be Papa Bear jumping in and like
Yeah.
ripping the kid off and everything. But it was really cool to watch after everyone, like they kind of, they did fist pumps and patted each other on the back and were giving each other tips and stuff. And I was like, wow, this is
Good
kind of
environment.
cool. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really good environment. He left going like he really wants to go back. He's like, the community
Yay.
there was really good. And I'm so happy for him. How about you, Kat?
That's
What's your
so good. That's so glimmery. I got some flowers behind me. If you're watching this on YouTube, Andrew sent me some flowers and it made my day. I think you sent them to me, on Monday? I'm trying
last
to keep
Sunday?
them alive for a while. They're doing pretty good, but it was unexpected. It's because I was under the weather last week and you and your mama sent them to me to cheer me up. And, it's not every day you get a flower delivery, and it was very glimmery for me. So thank you again.
You're very welcome. You deserve them. And I'm glad they helped cheer you up because I wasn't there to help take care of you.
They did.
Well, folks, thank you so much for listening. And we hope your arguments are settled peacefully. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, quick disclaimer. We're podcasters on the internet. If you need to seek professional help, please go see your healthcare professional.